Mexico holds a living treasure in its ancient plants. Throughout its mountains, jungles, and deserts, natural remedies, full of history and healing power, grow silently. These plants have been companions to indigenous peoples for generations. In each leaf, flower, and root lives the ancestral wisdom of native cultures, who learned to heal the body with what nature provided. In this documentary, we will explore how Mexico's rich and respectful traditional herbal medicine has been a bridge between humans and Mother Earth, offering relief, balance, and hope when it's needed most. Mesoamerican civilizations, like the Mexica, Aztecs, Mayans, and Zapotecs, developed sophisticated medical systems based on plants. Long before the arrival of Europeans, the indigenous people of Mexico already knew about hundreds of medicinal herbs and their uses. In Aztec society, for example, there were specialists called Tizitl, doctors, herbalists, who classified illnesses and treated patients by combining herbal remedies with spiritual rituals. Health was part of their worldview. They believed that well-being depended on the balance between the body, nature, and the sacred. It's no coincidence that many medicinal plants were also offered to the gods. Nature was seen as a divine source of healing. The ancient Mayans used a wide variety of herbs to treat infections, digestive disorders, skin problems, and more. Their herbalists knew how to prepare ointments, steam baths, and infusions, often accompanied by prayers and rituals to balance energies. The jungle provided sacred plants that served both medicinal and ceremonial purposes. So, from the Central Highlands to the Yucatan Peninsula, traditional herbal medicine has been a pillar of community health. Medicinal plants were present in pre-Hispanic markets, in homes and in temples. They were part of the cycle of life. They were used at birth, herbal baths for the mother and newborn, during life, as remedies for common illnesses, and even in death, incense and flowers to guide the spirit. Indigenous medicine saw body, mind, and spirit as integrated with nature. Next, we will delve into some of these remarkable plants, true ancestral gifts that have come down to us filled with healing properties. Next, we present 8 iconic medicinal plants of Mexican herbalism. Each one holds an ancestral legacy, with deep-rooted traditional uses, and many continue to be used today. Let's learn their names, virtues, and how they have healed countless generations. Epazote. Fresh epazote, a traditional aromatic herb from Mexico. Epazote, whose name comes from the Nahuatl word epazotl, meaning skunk herb, referring to its strong smell, is an aromatic and medicinal plant par excellence in Mexico. Besides adding flavor to cooking, it's the must-have herb in beans and quesadillas. Epazote has been used for centuries as a natural remedy. It's known for its powerful action in relieving digestive problems. It calms stomach aches, indigestion, and, above all, reduces gas. In fact, it's traditionally added to beans not only for flavor, but also to prevent gastrointestinal discomfort. One of epazote's most valued properties is its effectiveness against intestinal parasites. Ancient Mexicans prepared epazote infusions or decoctions to expel worms and other parasites, a practice supported by the active compound called ascaridol, present in its essential oils. This compound has a proven anti-parasitic effect, although it is toxic in high doses. Therefore, healers used measured doses. A few leaves in tea were enough. In addition, epazote has mild anti-inflammatory qualities and has been used for menstrual cramps and as a mild diuretic. It was also used externally, mashed into a poultice, to relieve insect bites. In traditional Mexican medicine, the advice was always to use epazote with respect. In small amounts, it's a great digestive aid, but in excess, it can be dangerous. Today, it is still recommended to drink a cup of epazote tea after heavy meals to improve digestion and prevent cramps. keeping the ancestral wisdom around this humble but powerful herb alive. Arnica. Mexican arnica flowers, known for their bright yellow color and healing qualities. The Mexican arnica is a plant with yellow flowers similar to small wild daisies. It has been one of the jewels of national herbal medicine, used since pre-Hispanic times, to treat bumps and wounds. In traditional medicine, it is known as the bump plant, because it speeds up the healing of bruises, sprains, and contusions. Grandmothers used to soak arnica flowers in alcohol to prepare a tincture or ointment, and with that ointment they would massage the sore areas. This use has been passed down for generations. Applying arnica compresses helps reduce swelling in muscles and relieve pain after falls or physical exertion. According to the Digital Library of Mexican Traditional Medicine, UNAM, arnica has remarkable medicinal qualities. It is antiseptic, healing, disinfectant, anti-inflammatory, and analgesic. This explains its effectiveness in various home remedies. For example, placing poultices of arnica leaves and flowers on a clean wound promotes its closure and prevents infections. Arnica is mainly used externally. Washing wounds, mouthwashes for inflamed gums, and even baths to relieve rheumatism. Its natural components, such as helenolin, give it that anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial power. It is not surprising that even today, in many Mexican homes, there is some arnica ointment for emergencies. This plant, respected and almost revered in traditional medicine, symbolizes how ancestral wisdom knew how to find in a wildflower an ally to heal the injured body. Maguey. A sacred and multi-purpose plant in Mesoamerican culture. Maguey, represented by various agave species, is an iconic plant of Mexico, considered almost sacred by native peoples. Beyond its role in the production of pulque, mezcal, and fibers, maguey has provided many medicinal benefits since ancient times. The Mexica people called it metal and used every part of the plant. The roasted hot pencas, fleshy leaves, were applied to the belly to soothe abdominal pains. This rustic poultice relieved cramps and, according to the colonial physician Francisco Hernandez, helped to break down kidney stones and clear the urinary tract. After roasting the penca, they extracted its juice and let it sit overnight. This preparation was given to the sick person twice a day to improve various ailments. One of Maguey's most celebrated contributions to health is its use in treating wounds. Pre-Hispanic healers covered battle wounds with fresh Maguey sap. This sap, known as aguamiel before fermentation, turned out to be a natural disinfectant. Its antibacterial properties prevented infections, and upon drying, formed a sticky layer that sealed the wound. Combined with salt, another antiseptic, they were able to clean and heal serious cuts. It was even used when suturing or reattaching damaged parts on wounded warriors. It was so effective that many of these practices continue in traditional medicine today. It is still recommended to place maguey pulp on minor cuts or burns to prevent infection and speed up healing. Pulque, the fermented aguamiel, also had medicinal value. In pre-Hispanic times, its consumption was regulated, reserved for the elderly, nursing mothers, or the sick, precisely because of its beneficial effects. It is documented that giving a cup of pulque to mothers after childbirth helped them produce milk in abundance. In addition, maguey is rich in nutrients. It contains calcium, phosphorus, iron, niacin, and vitamin C. Its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds make it useful for relieving rheumatic pain and strengthening the body. It's no exaggeration to say that maguey was a living pharmacy, a remedy for the body, food, and material resource. To this day, rural communities apply maguey juice to the skin to heal sores or drink it as a cough syrup. Maguey, the tree of wonders, for some chroniclers, embodies the union between ancestral wisdom and nature's generosity, healing both physical and spiritual wounds throughout the centuries. Cuachalalate. Cuachalalate bark is one of the most valued remedies in traditional Mexican herbal medicine, especially for stomach and gut problems. Originally from southern Mexico, this tree, whose name comes from the Nahuatl Cuachalalate, meaning snake tree, perhaps referring to its use against bites, offers a true natural medicine cabinet in its bark. In traditional Mexican medicine, a piece of Cuachalalate bark is boiled to make a bitter-tasting tea that is drunk as a treatment for stomach ulcers, gastritis, and other tummy troubles. Indigenous people discovered that this tea soothes ulcer pain and helps heal the stomach lining. In fact, many people with indigestion or heartburn turned to, and still turn to, Cuachalalate tea for relief. But the uses of Cuachalalate go far beyond the stomach. Traditionally, it has been used as a blood purifier and general tonic. According to traditional wisdom, the same tea is good for liver problems, lowering cholesterol, and illnesses like malaria and typhoid fever. It's also used externally. You can wash a wound with Cuachalalate tea or apply the ground bark directly to the skin to help heal sores and external ulcers. The tree's white resin is even placed on boils or abscesses to help them ripen and disinfect them. Women have used it in vaginal washes for infections and to help the uterus recover after childbirth. As we can see, Cuachalalate is considered almost a universal remedy in certain regions. It's good for the stomach, skin, blood, and even for warding off serious illnesses, herbalists say. Science is beginning to support several of these traditional uses. For example, researchers at UNAM recently showed in studies that Cuachalalate can regenerate damaged intestinal lining and lessen colitis symptoms. In experiments with mice, extracts of this bark reduced the size of colon tumors, suggesting anti-cancer potential that has surprised the scientific community. These findings only reaffirm what healers already knew. Cuachalalate has remarkable healing power. However, its harvest must be done carefully so as not to damage the trees, since it's the bark that is extracted. Fortunately, its popularity has led to it also being available as capsules or herbal supplements. Even so, in the towns of Morelos, Guerrero, or Oaxaca, it's common to see the bark piled up in herb markets, reminding us that ancestral medicine is still alive and available to those who need it. Rue. Rue arrived from Europe after the Spanish conquest, but it became so deeply rooted in Mexican culture that today it's considered a staple in traditional herbal medicine. With bluish-green foliage and small yellow flowers, rue has a strong smell and very powerful properties. In folk medicine, it's known as the plant that cures everything, that wards off everything. Why? Because of its dual medicinal and spiritual nature. On one hand, rue has been used to relieve physical ailments. It's digestive and carminative, capable of calming stomach and menstrual cramps. It's also a mild tranquilizer for nerves and dizziness. Rue tea, very diluted because it's strong, is taken in sips to relieve dizziness, to regulate delayed menstruation, or to expel intestinal parasites. It is also used externally in compresses for rheumatic pain or bruises, as it helps to reduce inflammation. On the other hand, rue has a special place in magical or spiritual medicine. Since colonial times, it has been attributed with properties to ward off bad energies and evil spirits. Many families have a rue plant at the entrance of their homes to absorb envy and the evil eye. In limpias or traditional healing rituals, rue branches are passed over the patient's body to remove negative energies, often accompanied by purule, another medicinal tree, and basil. It is believed that its strong aroma and vibrations scare away harmful influences. Male and female rue are even distinguished in some traditions, using one or the other depending on the type of limpia. Returning to its concrete medicinal uses, rue has proven effective against certain common ailments. Gargling with rue relieves sore throats. Washing with rue infusion helps heal scabies and skin conditions. It is also recommended for earaches. An old remedy consists of heating a teaspoon of oil with rue leaves, putting a few warm drops in the affected ear and covering it with cotton. Its anti-inflammatory and antiseptic action calms the pain and fights infection. However, rue must be handled with caution, because in high doses, it can be toxic. In fact, it is popularly known that in concentrated infusions, it can cause abortions. so it is never indicated for pregnant women. But used wisely, a few small leaves can be very helpful. Rue for the body and rue for the spirit. This plant shows how, in the traditional view, the line between the physical and the energetic is blurred, and healing encompasses both planes. Prickly pear, an ancient cactus, a symbol of resilience and health. The prickly pear, proudly displayed on the national emblem, is much more than a traditional food. It's also a natural remedy that Mesoamerican cultures have used since ancient times. The Aztecs cultivated it in their chinampas and knew about its medicinal benefits. This cactus, with its green pads covered in small spines, glochids, and fruits called tunas, is rich in fiber, vitamins A, C, K, and minerals. Eating prickly pear helps improve digestion and strengthen bones thanks to its calcium and magnesium content. But one of its most celebrated attributes in recent years, already known by the ancients, is its ability to regulate blood sugar levels. The pulp of the prickly pear, loaded with soluble fiber, slows down carbohydrate absorption, preventing glucose spikes. That's why prickly pear is said to be a friend to diabetics. Modern studies have confirmed that including prickly pear in the diet can reduce blood sugar in people with type 2 diabetes, thus validating the popular custom of recommending prickly pear juice or smoothies to those with high blood sugar. In addition, prickly pear helps lower bad cholesterol in the blood, thanks to that same fiber that traps lipids and provides antioxidants that protect the heart. In traditional herbal medicine, prickly pear has been practically a cure-all. It's used against gastritis and ulcers, its mucilage coats and heals the gastric mucosa, against constipation, because of its fiber, and even topically for skin lesions. A well-known remedy consists of placing the pulp of a prickly pear pad, peeled and lightly roasted, directly on burns, wounds, or abscesses. The mucilage of the prickly pear keeps the area moist, reduces inflammation, and promotes rapid skin healing. In rural areas, it is not uncommon to see a mother sticking half a warm prickly pear pad on a child's forehead to lower a fever or on an insect bite to soothe the itching. Prickly pear has also been an ally in weight loss and the fight against obesity because it creates a feeling of fullness and improves glucose metabolism. And if that weren't enough, it's a resource in times of scarcity. During droughts, people have survived by eating raw prickly pear, taking advantage of its moisture. It's no surprise that the indigenous people revered the prickly pear. In fact, in the Mexica legend of the founding of Tenochtitlan, it is a prickly pear that sprouts from the heart of Copal, on which the eagle devours the serpent. This symbolic image also encapsulates the reality. The prickly pear has sprouted from the heart of the Mexican people as a symbol of life, resistance, and health. Today, between green juices, dehydrated prickly pear capsules, and gourmet gastronomy with prickly pear, we continue to discover and take advantage of the virtues of this ancient plant that the earth gives us. Damiana, Turnera diffusa. Damiana is a small shrub with green leaves and sweet-smelling yellow flowers. It comes from northern Mexico, especially Baja California and Sonora, and other parts of the Americas. The Guaycura and Seri indigenous people have used it for a long time. Over the years, it became known for its noticeable effects on mood and energy. Traditionally, Damiana is known as a natural aphrodisiac. In fact, one of its nicknames is shepherdess's herb, maybe hinting at its use for boosting energy. It's made into a tea with its leaves, and people say that drinking Damiana tea lifts your spirits and your desire. Indeed, Damiana has been used to increase libido in both men and women, to fight impotence, and to balance problems with frigidity. It's one of those love remedies that grandmothers used to recommend, a Damiana tea to rekindle the flame. It's no wonder that it also ended up as an ingredient in certain traditional sweet liquors used as digestives and happy tonics. But Damiana's properties cover much more. It's a tonic for the nervous system. In natural medicine, it has been used against fatigue, mild depression, anxiety, and stress. It works as a mild adaptogen, helping the body deal with physical and mental exhaustion. That's why a Damiana tea at the start of the day was recommended for those who felt down or melancholic. It makes you see the sun shine brighter, the elders used to say. It has also been used to improve concentration and memory. For women, Damiana is known to help regulate hormonal imbalances and lessen menstrual or menopausal symptoms, hence another of its names, deer herb, suggesting strength and balance. Pharmacologically, compounds with antidepressant, antioxidant, and slightly blood sugar-lowering effects have been identified in Damiana. It's also credited with antibacterial and expectorant qualities, so in some places, it was used to treat bronchitis and coughs, by drinking the tea or smoking the dried leaves, a less common practice. It was even considered in cases of constipation, given its mild laxative effect. However, its impact on mood is the most celebrated. Healers say that Damiana gladdens the sad heart and strengthens the weak. As a precaution, it shouldn't be taken during pregnancy and always in moderate doses. Damiana reminds us how herbal medicine approaches overall health. It doesn't just cure physical ailments, but also addresses emotions and vital energy, showing once again the deep understanding our ancestors had of the connection between mind, body, and nature. Tepezcohuite. Tepezcohuite, sometimes called the skin tree, is one of the most amazing medicinal plants in Mayan healing traditions and southern Mexico. Since ancient times, the Mayans used the bark of this tree to treat skin injuries, burns, and infections. This knowledge has been passed down through communities in Chiapas and Oaxaca. After a tragic incident in the 1980s, a gas explosion in Mexico City, Tepezcohuite became nationally famous. It was successfully used to help regenerate the skin of victims with severe burns, confirming its extraordinary regenerative properties. What makes this plant so special? Its bark contains a powerful combination of tannins, flavonoids, and saponins, with antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, and healing effects. When Tepezcohuite bark is powdered and applied to a wound or burn, it helps prevent infections, due to its antimicrobial properties, and reduces pain, working almost like a topical pain reliever. More importantly, it stimulates collagen formation and the repair of damaged tissue. Simply put, it speeds up skin regeneration. Indigenous people knew this. They used Tepezcohuite poultices on ulcers, injuries, and even for skin problems like eczema. They also prepared ointments with the bark to reduce wrinkles and keep skin looking young, a cosmetic use that modern companies have now picked up. It's no coincidence that international celebrities are said to promote skincare creams with Tepezcohuite. Tepezcohuite has even been used to treat muscle and joint pain in the form of a liniment, thanks to its anti-inflammatory action. In some communities, a decoction of its bark is used to wash wounds on animals, given its effectiveness. Mexican scientists have researched this plant. The Autonomous University of Ciudad Juarez, for example, is working to develop new medical materials with Tepezcohuite to regenerate skin and bones, recognizing that it is a native species with great biomedical potential. In fact, Tepezcohuite in Nahuatl means something like plant that has horns on the hill, a reference to its shape or habitat. But for many, it already means a miracle for the skin. Its virtues have crossed borders. In Europe, it is a novel ingredient in dermatological products, although its availability is regulated to prevent overexploitation. In short, Tepezcohuite is a beautiful example of how ancestral wisdom identified highly sophisticated remedies in nature. Imagining the ancient Mayans treating a warrior's wounds with the bark of the skin tree and achieving surprising healings fills us with respect. Honoring this wisdom also means conserving Tepezcohuite in its native forests, cultivating it sustainably, and sharing its benefits ethically. This way, this ancient plant will continue to heal bodies and tell the story of a profound herbal knowledge that we must not lose. In recent decades, modern science has turned its attention to these ancient plants, seeking to understand and verify their healing properties. What indigenous people knew through observation and oral tradition is now being investigated in laboratories with rigorous methods. And the results, in many cases, confirm the ancestral wisdom that has been passed down for centuries. A clear example is Cuachalalate. UNAM researchers have shown that its extracts promote intestinal regeneration and can reduce colon inflammation in animal models. They even found that in mice with colon cancer, treatment with Cuachalalate significantly reduced the number and size of tumors. These findings provide a scientific basis for the traditional use of Cuachalalate to cleanse the blood and treat serious internal ailments. Now its active compounds are being isolated to potentially develop phytotherapeutic drugs against colitis, or as an adjuvant in anti-cancer therapies. From Epazote ascaridole, the ingredient that acts against parasites, was isolated. This compound was studied and gave rise to safer anti-helminthic drugs, but it was thanks to traditional knowledge that its effectiveness was known. From Arnica, science identified substances like helenilen with potent anti-inflammatory and analgesic effects. Today, clinically approved Arnica creams and gels are commonly used to reduce inflammation in sports injuries, just as tradition did with compresses. As for Maguey, research has confirmed that its sap has antibacterial properties, due to the presence of compounds such as agave and other polysaccharides, validating why wounds treated with Maguey healed better. In addition, studies on agave fructans suggest beneficial prebiotic effects and applications in digestive and metabolic health. Nopal, which people have always said lowers sugar and cholesterol, has been the subject of numerous clinical trials. The prestigious Mayo Clinic, among other institutions, recognizes that Nopal intake produces decreases in postprandial glucose in diabetics. Its role in reducing LDL cholesterol and triglycerides is also being investigated, with promising results in patients with metabolic syndrome. Nutraceuticals based on freeze-dried Nopal are on the market to support cardiovascular health, bringing that folk knowledge to modern formulations. With Damiana, scientists have explored its effect on the central nervous system, finding evidence of anxiolytic and antidepressant activity in animal models, consistent with its use as a mood tonic. Likewise, phytochemical studies have identified compounds in Damiana that could explain its aphrodisiac reputation, by influencing the release of nitric oxide and improving circulation, although large clinical trials are still needed. In the case of Tepezcohuite, laboratories in Mexico and other countries have confirmed its regenerative properties in skin cells. Dressings and biomaterials with Tepezcohuite extracts are even being developed for the treatment of burns and diabetic ulcers. Large cosmetic companies are also investing in this plant, incorporating it into anti-aging skincare lines given its antioxidant and collagen-stimulating power. Beyond validating specific uses, science is discovering new possible benefits. Mexican Arnica showed selective toxic activity against colon cancer cells in vitro studies, opening up an unexpected line of research from a traditional plant. Rue has been studied for its alkaloids, such as rutin, with vasodilatory and antiplatelet properties, which could help in blood circulation, explaining why rue tea was a remedy for cleansing the blood and dizziness. Even plants less famous internationally, such as Epazote, are in the spotlight. Scientists are investigating its anti-amoebic and antioxidant effects, as well as possible applications as a natural biopesticide given its potency. Another important aspect is the worldwide interest in natural and alternative medicine. Recently, there has been a resurgence in the popularity of herbal medicine, both in Mexico and abroad. The search for treatments with fewer side effects, more affordable, and culturally compatible has led many people to turn to these ancestral remedies. The World Health Organization, WHO, recognizes the importance of traditional medicine and promotes its integration with allopathic medicine in a safe and effective way. Mexico, with its vast ethnobotanical wealth, has become a focus of ethnomedical studies. Universities and research centers collaborate with local healers to document knowledge, protect the intellectual property of indigenous communities over their sacred plants, and even to discover new drugs inspired by molecules of plant origin. It should be noted that science also warns. Natural is not always synonymous with harmless. Therefore, part of this dialogue between traditional knowledge and scientific knowledge involves defining appropriate doses, understanding contraindications, and ensuring that plant harvesting is sustainable. Many of these medicinal species face risks from overexploitation or the destruction of their habitats. Responsible modern herbalism advocates for cultivating medicinal plants instead of indiscriminately extracting them from nature, and for educating the public on their correct use. In conclusion of this section, we can proudly affirm that science is, step by step, proving the indigenous elders right. Those homemade recipes with roots and leaves do indeed have a basis. Epazote does expel parasites. Arnica tea does reduce inflammation. Maguey does disinfect. Nopal does regulate glucose, and so on. This encounter between two forms of knowledge, ancestral and scientific, enriches both. Validating the effectiveness of a traditional plant gives it a dignified place in the contemporary health system, and at the same time opens avenues for developing new treatments from natural sources. It is a beautiful cycle where the old nourishes the new, and the new supports the old, building together a path towards a more comprehensive and humane medicine. We've traveled a fascinating road through Mexico's ancestral herbal medicine, discovering how ancient plants carry the memory of our ancestors in their leaves and the potential to heal our bodies today. Each plant we learned about: the humble Epazote, the resilient Arnica, the generous Maguey, the healing Cuachalalate, the protective Ruta, the nutritious Nopal, the comforting Damiana, the regenerating Tepezcohuite, tells us about a deep relationship between people and the earth. If you enjoyed this documentary, I invite you to watch our next documentary, where we explore the healing power of rosemary, a plant that not only soothes the body, but also calms the mind. And if any of these plants have been a part of your life, or your family has used them for generations, leave us a comment. We want to hear your story, your recipes, and how nature has helped you heal. Share this video with someone you know who needs a little bit of this ancestral wisdom. And together, let's keep this natural heritage alive.